Hello and welcome back. I've been triggered. I had to be in a place that I knew was gonna be a trigger. You know how sometimes just being somewhere is enough to put you in the fight or flight, to put you back to where you feel like you have grown so much from. I have not gone back home in about 5 years. In exactly 5 years. I have moved to Florida, created a whole new life here by myself, and I never looked back. And this last weekend I had to go back. And I had thought about it a lot. I have stressed about it a lot. And it was as stressful and triggering as I was expecting it to be. And I'm about a week being back, and I'm still feeling the residuals of being there. And I just wanted to make this video as a reminder to myself, as well as maybe some other people, to realize you're not alone on this journey of growing and changing and healing. It's okay to be triggered, and it's okay to feel like it takes a little bit longer to get back to where you were before. I feel like I have a lot of tools, and sometimes I had this expectation that it was gonna be easier, and it's funny because, you know, like growing up, I always felt like once I removed myself from the place, all of my problems would go away. And that proved to be not true. And I don't know why I expected the same thing in this situation, and to just feel like I got over it, and all of the stress and all of the rumination and worry and all of it. Like, it's okay that some things bring me back and make me feel like I haven't made as much progress as I thought I did. It's a hard realization, and it doesn't negate all of the work that I have done. I feel like this is an opportunity for me to show myself more compassion. And I was just thinking about it now, and I was like, this is an opportunity to speak to myself differently, to handle myself differently, to not just pretend like nothing happened, to not just sweep it under the rug and pretend like I don't have feelings and pretend like it didn't affect me. I feel like that's also a part of it, where I feel like it has to, I've grown from this, so it can't, I'll just, even if I do have feelings, I'll just pretend that they're not there. And it's this balance of not letting the feelings take over and acknowledging them and feeling them, and then getting back to a place of regulation, getting back to a place of holding myself. Getting back to a place of holding myself in the compassion, with empathy and understanding. And I know I'm still learning this. And I expected this to be so simple and for it to go so much smoother. And it's okay that it didn't. It's okay that things still affect me. It's okay that I have to move through feelings. For me, like, the gym is my place to let it out. And I used to be a runner, so that is still like so deeply ingrained in me. So it has been so helpful finding the things that release, instead of just sitting with the hard feelings and sitting with the sadness and sitting. That has a place, but it's also finding a place for movement. It's also finding that place of like yelling and screaming into a pillow, or punching the pillow, or getting on the treadmill and just going for a sprint. Like, these are things that work for me. trying different kinds of movement to just get me in my body again, so that I'm not just over here ruminating and overthinking about how I could have, not only about how things went and how it felt, but also then judging myself about how I handled it and what I could have done differently, and how my expectation of the more healed version of me would have handled things. Taking that judgment piece away, the shame, the guilt for how you showed up, the expectation of how I wanted to show up versus reality. Being in an old place, maybe seeing old people, maybe going back to an environment similar but not the exact same thing. Like, triggers can come up around every turn of life, and learning compassion and learning acceptance and learning to hold myself with grace has been the most ungraceful process and messy. And I think whenever I sit down and have these conversations, I realize that the mess is okay, and the mess is part of it, and it's not supposed to be perfect. Like, if I was to sit here and guide myself, like my younger self, through this weekend, and how much compassion and how much love I would give a younger version of me for having to go and put myself in a triggering situation, that's the way that I need to speak to myself on this messy journey of learning to handle triggers, learning to be in environments that don't make me feel great. And it's not a long-term thing, but like, yeah, most of the time I remove myself. But there are some situations in life that you have to, right? Like, it's that right thing to do. It's a location choice that you can't change, that you have no control over. And I think that's also the hardest thing, is having no control brings me back to a place when I had no control. Like, now I have control over my life. I have autonomy. I have sovereignty, and I get to choose where I am and what I do. And being put back in old situations brings all of those old feelings up, and holding myself with the care and love that I would hold a younger version of me, and that kindness and that patience, or even a best friend. Like, if a best friend told me this story, and they're all stories, if a best friend came to me with this, I would not be hard on her. I would not say, well, you should be doing better than this because, like, you know, you've been working on this for a really long time, and like, why is this still affecting you? No, I would have understanding and give permission to feel the feelings, and hold her and listen, and give her permission to allow things to take as long as they need to. That often we rush this process of discomfort, of being with challenging emotions, because I feel like they shouldn't be there. But I could take the perspective to see where I have grown, where I've shown up in this place and showed immense growth, and get a really insightful look on what needs more attention. What can I focus on more now that I have a different perspective of where I am? And it can be looked at as something that you shame yourself for, or it could be a gift of where I get to grow and step deeper into myself. A reminder of how much loving support I deserve to give to myself, and where there's room for growth there. And giving myself the patience patience. The patience to not rush, to be and feel and trust that I can hold myself through all of it, because I always have. And my perspective and how I handle it now can hold a little bit more wisdom, can hold a lot more patience, a lot more love, a lot more grace. This was my little ramble on how I have been triggered, and it is a gift to pull yourself out of that rut. It is a gift to learn where you require more growth, because no matter what, in every aspect of life, something is going to pop up to show where I require more growth. And I can see that as a negative, as, ugh, this always happens to me. Why can't I get past this? This is so terrible. Or I can choose to be grateful, and that like magic of sitting and allowing. And when I have felt that low of feeling right back to where it all started, and feeling so like the struggles are so big, to be there and pull myself out, as difficult and challenging as it is, days, months, weeks down the line, I am always so proud of myself. And I often don't give myself the moment to soak that in, the acknowledgement of the pride and the strength and the awareness that it takes to move through the difficult things. So maybe this helps you feel a little bit less alone. Maybe it's a little bit relatable. And maybe next time you're triggered, this will be something that you either come back to, or just remember that you can give yourself permission to move through as slowly and as patiently as you require, because you deserve it. I deserve it. We all deserve to be in places that make us feel uncomfortable, and build the trust that we can get through, and the work that we have done will support us. The tools that we have practiced over however long will always be there to support us. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.